Basically in the clip, what happens is you have the guy who killed this man's father. And he basically is like, he's like, I killed your father. Like, I did it. I'll admit it. Like, I did it. You guys are all looking at the screen, not at me. But anyways, basically, like, the guy finally admits, he's like, I'm the one who did it. I killed your father. And he takes the spear out, and he like holds it to his chest, and he's like, you have every right to kill me right now. And Steve Saint, Nate Saint's son, is basically, he has the spear, and he's like, he is ready to drive the spear into the guy, and he's so angry, and he's like screaming and yelling, but he like just drops the spear. And like he said that in that moment that they both, at the end of the spear, they had kind of reached this point where they finally were free. Like he was free, the one man was free of his sin, he was free of his iniquity, he was free of his act, and then Steve Saint was free of all that bitterness and all that hate. That in that moment, Christ came into their life, into the messiness of their life, and basically was like, hey, this is where I live. I live in the places where your anger is, and I live in the places where your hate is at. That's where I'm at. That's where I bring about new life. That's where I restore. There's a quote by N.T. Wright, a famous theologian, and he says, the people of light are never more at risk than when they are lured into fighting darkness with darkness. And I would like to say that the people of light are no more on display than when we are loving our enemy. That we are absolutely no more on display than when we are loving our enemy. That when we are loving our enemy, our love is made perfect. That when we are loving our enemy, our love is made perfect. So I think the question for us today is kind of twofold. And the first question is, who is your enemy? You've probably been thinking of someone throughout. I hope you've been thinking of someone throughout. Maybe during the week, if you can't think of anybody, just think of someone. Who's that person that just gets your blood pressure up? Who is your enemy, and how can you love them? That's the first question. The second question is, if you're in this room and you are still an enemy of Christ and still in opposition of Christ, then what is holding you back? Like, Christ doesn't want to be your enemy. That's just, he proved that on the cross. He's like, I don't want to be your enemy. He's inviting us to be a friend, to be a brother and a sister, not an enemy. And what is holding you back? What is holding you back? So I'm just going to ask the band to come up. I'm going to pray for us. Then we're going to continue to worship.